that point. These are live pictures that are coming to us via the Reuters news agency. You can see the people standing around the trucks looking on. We have various reports, Ukrainian government spokesperson saying 34 trucks have entered separatist-controlled eastern Ukraine. But he accused Russia of violating an agreement it had with Kiev. Now, these trucks were cleared by Ukrainian customs on Thursday night, we're told. But that was on the assumption that Red Cross escorts would accompany the convoy. Now, those ICRC monitors pulled out at the last minute due to security concerns. Let's try to get what details we can. Get the view from Moscow. That's where we find our own senior international correspondent, Matthew Chance. Matthew?
Jim, thanks very much. Well, obviously a very tense situation regarding those controversial humanitarian trucks, that aid convoy coming from Russia into Ukraine. It seems that after more than a week of negotiations with the Ukrainian authorities, the Russians have basically lost their patience with this process, and they've said, look, we're going in anyway. A very tersely worded statement issued in the course of the past few hours from the Russian Foreign Ministry, saying that, look, all of the excuses that have been used to prevent this humanitarian aid being issued and being distributed have been exhausted. They said they won't wait any longer, and they've said that they're warning against anyone attacking that humanitarian convoy. The Foreign Ministry saying in its statement that the trucks are making their way in the direction of Luhansk. That's a city, one of the main strongholds of the pro-Russian rebels in eastern Ukraine. But it's also been a scene over recent days in particular of very fierce fighting between government forces and those pro-Russian rebels. And so we're in a very dangerous situation right now. Jim, as you mentioned, the ICRC, the International Committee of the Red Cross, which had been believed to have been accompanying this aid convoy, it was meant to be with them, has pulled out its people from around that convoy, saying they hadn't received the security guarantees that they were expecting, and so they're no longer with that humanitarian convoy. And so a very dangerous situation. If the convoy starts to move towards Luhansk, and we're not entirely clear at this stage whether it has done that, but if it does, obviously it runs the risk of coming under fire in this ongoing campaign, this ongoing fighting that's underway around that city. And potentially, if that happens, Russia has said that there will be unspecified consequences. So as I say,
one would expect if you're going to move that quantity of humanitarian goods into a city like that, you'd almost need a truce. You'd need a ceasefire in order for people to access it, to come out and collect what they need.
Absolutely, and this is something that the Russians have been calling for. It's something they've been trying to negotiate because there is a humanitarian need on the ground in eastern Ukraine, particularly in Luhansk, where there have been so many people killed, so many people displaced because of the fighting. That's something that has not happened, though, and perhaps one of the reasons for that is that in recent days, in recent weeks, the Ukrainian government forces have been making significant gains against the rebel stronghold in Luhansk and in various other areas as well, particularly around the eastern city of Donetsk. And so there's a lot of gains being made by the Ukrainian military. This is a humanitarian mission, according to the Russians, but people in Ukraine, the Ukrainian government see it as a sort of unsolicited intervention by the Russians to try and bring an end to the fighting at a time when their military are making so many gains, to give the rebels perhaps some breathing space. And so the Ukrainians see an ulterior motive in this. They see it as a possible part of a broader plan by the Russians to conduct either more assistance with the rebels or to conduct an overt invasion of eastern Ukraine. And so there's a lot of suspicion surrounding this convoy, certainly on the Ukrainian side.
Matthew Chance reporting for us there live from Moscow as we continue to watch the trucks stream in at the border crossing. How far beyond that they've gone, as Matthew explained, we haven't been able to confirm just yet, but it is a dangerous, a volatile situation, but it is also much needed humanitarian aid. Now, Malaysian Airlines Flight 17, as you all know, was shot down over eastern Ukraine back on the 17th of July. Now, the remains of 20 victims are back in Kuala Lumpur.